These are the news of News Radio. Joanna Michalska. Welcome. Today, my guest is Kamran Anwar Tanwari. Hi, how are you today?
Hi, I'm fine. How about you?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm really excited for our conversation. It's your first time in our radio. How do you like it?
Yeah, I'm surprised that it's quite different than what I expected. It's small, but looks quite nice.
I'm really happy to hear that. Can you tell us where are you from and how long have you been in Szczecin?
I'm from Pakistan and I have been in Szczecin for about 13 months now.
And how do you like it, our city?
Well, I do like one aspect of Szczecin, that there are very less people around, and I love cities with less people. When I was in China before, there were a lot of people, and that's the reason I did not really feel comfortable there.
I'm wondering, why did you choose this city? What inspired you?
Well, after completion of my master's degree, I was looking for some perspective in Baltic Sea region, most likely. And although I did shortlist some of the universities that I want to go, but the most interesting one was this university, as my professor was working on exactly the same topic that I wanted to work on. So that's one of the main reasons that I chose this university, because of my supervisor's research interest. They align with my interests.
Before we move on to your story and life in Poland, it is worth mentioning that after moving from Pakistan, you lived in China. It's really interesting and impressed for me. And how did it start? Where did this idea come from?
Well, while I was in Pakistan, we enjoy good relationships with China, and I had few colleagues from China actually, and they came to our university in Pakistan, and they were actually exchange students. After having some conversation with them, I found myself interested in China, and also after watching some videos on internet, I was like a bit of enthusiastic about mystery of China. It's kind of like a mystery country, so I wanted to go and explore it myself. And that's one of my motivation for studying my master's degree in China.
It was challenging or difficult for you to change everything and move on?
Very challenging, of course. Before first time I went there, and I did not know any word in Chinese, obviously. And when I landed on the airport, the first thing I was like hearing these weird language words, and I don't know what to say, and not many people there were speaking English, so of course there were language barrier, but yeah, I got used to it by time.
What was it like studying there? People were helpful for you? Do you have good memories?
Yes, people are very helpful there, of course, especially the university staff and everything. And when I went outside, even though I had a lot of language complications with the people, but still they were very helpful in making me understand what they mean to say. And well, they are very foreign friendly, and they love foreigners a lot, and also they take care of us as a guest in their country. So yeah, I had a very good experience overall.
I didn't have opportunity to visit China, hope so yet, but I'm wondering, what was life like there?
Well, sometimes the life was a bit weird in such a way that there are some kind of restrictions imposed on especially the internet. So we had to deal with it by using some ways like using VPNs or something, because we couldn't access the international websites, and that was hindering our research problems, because most of the research websites, they were in Chinese, and for foreign students it's not a good option to research in Chinese.
It's not available.
Yeah, exactly. So we had to pay for some services or something, so that was one of the problem. Another problem was some restrictions on some places, like they don't accept passport very well, because they have their own card, like we have in Poland, like Karta Polaka or whatever. Yeah, so they had this kind of card there, and they don't have good features for the passport, so everywhere there were a lot of restrictions. That's one of the problems.
In your opinion, what is the culture like there? What differences did you notice? What maybe surprised you?
Well, China and Pakistan, they both are Asian countries, so there was not much of a difference in culture, is to say, more like education or something, but there were a lot of differences in their traditional cultures, and also food, and also the way people behave is totally different. So yeah, it was a totally new experience for me, coming from not so developed country, Pakistan, and even though China is developing country, but it's developing very fast. So yeah, it was a overall very good experience for me to know a bit more about a different culture, especially that when we went there, we had some classes where we got to explore the Chinese culture, and the culture is so deep and so rich that it took me like around 2 years to get used to Chinese culture and everything. Yeah.
What do you think about education between China and, for example, your country or Poland?
The education in China, it's one of the very toughest because they focus more on giving more hours to education. Like, for example, in my lab there, when I was in master's degree, I had to visit my lab from morning 7 till maybe night 10 o'clock. But here in Poland, of course, it's more relaxing. So I have to work and life balance. It's more balanced compared to China. And in Pakistan, I would say that there is also work-life balance.
After spend time in China, it's easier for you here.
Yes, a lot easier, definitely.
What did you like the most about China? What you have the best memory about this country?
The food in China, it's so diverse, and every province in China have their own specialty. So wherever I go, I had to explore a lot of food and a lot of places. There were a lot of temples, there were a lot of mountains. I love mountains, and there were a lot of traditional places in every city, their own clothes, their own language style, even though they all speak Chinese, but they speak their own different way of Chinese. Like maybe there is a bit of difference between Southern Polish and Northern Polish, just something like that. They have their own dialect. So I had some difficulties even though I learned Chinese, and I go to Northern China, for example, they speak some Chinese in a bit of different way. So it was a bit of problem for me to get used to it some ways. Yeah.
So I will be really glad if you tell us more about how did it happen that you lived in China and suddenly found yourself in Poland, so far from your home, so far from China. How?
Yeah, that's because I was a bit tired of living in Asia because I explored a lot of Chinese Asian culture, and I was raised in Asian culture in Pakistan. So I wanted to try something totally different, nothing to do with Asia. Well, that was an option, but maybe the people will say that why I didn't go to Germany, why I didn't go to France, why I didn't go to Italy. They are also European countries. But well, I heard a lot about Poland and its history, so I wanted to explore something like totally different. Not everyone choose kind of destiny. Like maybe most of the people, they will choose Germany or maybe France more likely. I think so. It's their opinion. But for me, I wanted to try because I heard that Polish is second hardest language in the world.
Yes, yeah. Exactly.
I can speak first hardest language, so I wanted to learn the second hardest language, and maybe that's why. Yeah,
my another question is, what is your Polish language?
Well, I would say it's kind of not so basic, but not so good either, because I did not have much time to study it in my first year. But yeah, I'm focusing more on it now, and I'm getting used to listening to Polish and also understanding Polish.
What in Poland gives you the energy to act?
When I have conversation with any Polish friend or something, they always say that Polish people are so lazy or something, we don't like to work. But when I see them, they work so hard, and that gives them a motivation to work, even though they are more humble in talking about themselves. Like they will not try to boasting about themselves, like they are very good at this, they are very good at, but actually they are very good at it. So this gives me kind of like an energy and motivation to work hard.
So after your years here, what do you think about our country? Do you like living here?
Well, I wasn't expecting Poland to be like this when I came. It's much more developed than I thought. And I can say that it's one of the developed countries, because some people, they see Poland as not as good as Germany or something, but I think the transportation system and everything here is much better than the other European countries I've been to. So I love staying here so far, and I like Szczecin most of all because here there are not a lot of people around. And when I went to Warsaw, there was like something that I experienced in China, a lot of people on the street, and it's crowded usually, the trams or something. So yeah, I like smaller cities, so Szczecin is perfect for me.
What similarities and differences have you noticed between Poland and your country?
The difference is mostly the population. The Pakistan is, although it's a smaller country, but it's on top 5 in the population index. So they have the most population in the world. So it's quite crowded, and there is a lot of competition in higher education or wherever in the job market or something because of the overwhelming population. So that's one of the differences I've noticed. Another thing is that when there's more population, there is not a lot of clean cities because a lot of people are living. So that's one of the problem in the developing countries, and so that's what I found different in between Poland and Pakistan.
You're at the doctoral school. What is the topic of your research? What are you interested in?
My research is about coastal erosion. It's mostly the process I'm investigating is the impacts of climate change on the coastal erosion, basically on the Baltic Sea. And I'm researching on long-term and short-term extremes, which are like more like you can say storms or wave storms, or maybe a lot of rainfall, how it damages the coastal processes, mostly Międzyzdroje or Merzejino, or maybe some places in Germany also part of the Baltic Sea. So yeah, I'm doing more like this kind of research. Yeah.
I'm really wondering, how do you spend your free time in Szczecin after your education, after your time in lab or doctoral school? What do you like to do here in our city?
Well, apart from if I'm staying at the home, I'm mostly playing video games or maybe Netflix. But if I'm going outside, maybe mostly I will spend time in some bars or clubbing or something like that in the weekends.
Where do you see yourself in a few years? Would you like to stay in Szczecin, or do you have a further interesting place?
Well,
and
my
plans?
Yeah, thank you. For my future place, I would more likely be researching on the Baltic Sea. So most likely I would be staying in one of the Baltic Sea countries because I spent 4 years researching on the Baltic Sea. So it's quite hard to move to some other location. So I haven't yet decided totally on that, but it will be most likely in one of the Baltic states. Yeah.
Thank you so much for the conversation and your time. I cross my fingers for you and for you, researchers.
Thank you.
It was really, really pleasure for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.